Good afternoon. I'm calling this meeting to order. Welcome to the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, the best Rotary Club in the... All right, we'll be starting the meeting with an invocation, which is an original written by the one, the only, Louis, the man, Requa. Woo!
Have to get this unfolded. I found this in some of my stuff that we've been cleaning up, and it was an invocation that I used to do clear back in the days when we were at the Catholic Church after we got bumped out of the restaurant. I'll go ahead and read it. It's kind of torn up. Dear Heavenly Father, so it is that in God we trust, therefore we believe in you. Bless this Rotary Club and all in attendance today as we go forward in service above self. In our efforts to improve the communities around us and the other areas around the world. Bless this food today, if we have much, to afford us the mental and physical strength to carry out these services. In your name we pray, amen.
All right, please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and join me in the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And today's song is with Chris Schaffner. Woo! Chris, you're here. Yeah. And Danny's running back the microphone, so you can start that. We know you're excited.
Really excited. Actually, Joellen had a great idea to break with tradition today. And I think everybody can always use a compliment and a nice word. So instead of singing, if we could turn to one of our neighbors at the table, shake their hand and give them a compliment, because everybody needs a self-esteem boost for the day. I am at the best looking table in here and the youngest. I love you, yes, Danny.
All right. Besides our program, man, you guys are full of compliments. Look at you. Besides our program, do we have any visiting Rotarians? Visiting Rotarians? All right. Do we have any non-Rotarian visitors? I see quite a few. Welcome to all of you. Yay.
Okay, Danny. I brought Tiffany Boggs with me, and I'm hoping that she will get to be part of our family and join Rotary. So,
welcome, Tiffany.
Well, I guess it's my pleasure today to introduce Brian Ammons. And Brian has been proposed for membership, and so hopefully he'll be joining the club here shortly. Be a good addition.
You know, you send out an email and suddenly people are excited about joining. I like it. Good job, everyone, and welcome to the club. And we hope that you do join. It's a great organization to be part of. All right, I believe we have some club business. We have Tim Howland with an announcement.
Are arriving. The dictionaries have started to come in. I've got enough to give Teak what he needs for Clear Lake. We're going to take care of that. But most of the time, it sounds like the other schools are open to delivery during Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays, hopefully in the morning. So if you would like to take on the responsibility of delivering dictionaries to one of the schools, get with me after the meeting and we'll sign you up, and I'll get ready to give you all the information you need for that. We've got the labels and everything ready to go. Okay,
All right. And Travis also has an announcement. Thanks, Danny.
I tried to get Rick to do it, but he wouldn't do it. So, but he trained me well. All right, silent auction items. Everybody should have on their table some auction slips. Everybody have some? Okay, and if you don't have yours, grab some. But we just want to get excited, get some great items. I sent out an email and did a little talk a couple weeks ago. We really want to up our game in silent auction items this year. So be thinking about how you can generate an item that brings in, we're shooting for something will bring in like $200 to $500 for our auction. So be thinking about that, and let's go through the rules. What's rule number 1? Now, can you hear me? Okay, fill it out completely. That's great. What's number 2? Carl, that's always number 1. What's number 2? What's that? I'm not, I promise. Which color do you rip off? The last page, you take off the pink, you keep the white and the yellow together. What do you do with the white and the yellow? Let me ask. Mike, what do you do with the white and the yellow? Excellent. You attach it well to the item and then you deliver where? Styles Law or here. We'll get it to Styles Law. All right, that's it. Thanks.
I'll add a couple other auction reminders. We're about halfway to our sponsorships, so thanks to John and Tomas for working really hard on that. Tickets are for sale. If you need help purchasing tickets, please let me know. I'm happy to help you do that. We only have a limited amount of 10 top tables. We have 12 total, and I think about 6 or 7 of those are spoken for. So if you are planning to sit with 10 friends, 10 of your best friends, make sure you get with me early. If not, you'll be at a table of 8. So thank you.
And thanks to Travis, to Danny, to Rebecca, for everyone who's working behind the scenes on the auction. It's greatly appreciated. Rebecca, did you want to say anything about those extra save the date cards that you have?
If you want some save the dates for people, basically you're inviting them to come buy tickets. I have some. And if you have a place that you'd like to take some, let me know. It's just good advertisement that it's happening. Like if anybody's going to another Rotary Club, if they want to take some, let me know.
Awesome.
All right. Also to add, we have a max capacity of 280 this year at the event. So don't wait to buy your tickets. Otherwise you might be left out.
All right. Are there any other announcements? Oh, Dan.
Yeah, so more on the work party, and it's actually for Mike's daughter, Emily. Mike purchased it. I've been up there twice. John Janicki was up there the second time. April 5th is when we will like an all hands to be there. We might do some work on Friday with some equipment, but I'd like to make this a great one. Mike's been a great person for this Rotary, so looking for a volunteer sign up. And if not, he might shame you.
And just a reminder, as part of the auction, we do promise at least 10 Rotarians to show up and work for at least 5 hours on that auction item. So we want to make sure we fulfill that promise because that is never a inexpensive item to purchase. So we'd like to make sure that we do a good job on that. All right. Any other announcements, questions, concerns, etc.? Okay. So we've got anniversaries. Woohoo! And Yulia's not here, so it looks like Carl's stepping in for the role.
All right, I get to kiss Dan today. Actually, I think I'll pass. But we do want to hear all about your Sparkin' days, so let's hear it.
So went to Mount Baker High School. My wife went to Burlington. We met in college, just a mutual group of friends, and ended up asking her to go to the log show. how redneck is that, right? And it's pretty appropriate for where we live. And we went as friends, connected so well that now it's 42 years later, 3 kids, 6 grandkids, and it's been pretty wonderful.
Hey, how about that? That's great. And we have one other anniversary. I believe it's Chris Johnston, and he's not here, so I don't think anyway. So
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Tell Yulia you did a passable job. Okay. All right. So now we are to the raffle.
Number 12. We promise we're not cheating. I won last week.
I feel the auction or the raffle might be a little rigged this month.
The next winner is number 23.
In case you didn't know, Pels is this weekend, formerly Pets. So Lynn's heading down there after the meeting today. So wish him well. And if you've been there in the past as a past president, give him all the advice.
All right, our last winner for the day is number 54.
And that's convenient because Phil is also our sergeant at arms.
Sedro Woolley Auto Parts.
All
Ready to go?
yours. Yeah.
Okay, President Ruth, thank you. Last Monday was President's Day, right? So we're going to have a little warm ups. We're going to talk about presidents. But officially, President's Day is really supposed to be what? Washington's birthday. Yeah,
Yep.
it hasn't changed formally, but that's what it's supposed to be. And everybody knows our very first president was George Washington, 1789 to 97. But we'll start with this table. And Chad, could you collect for me? Great. During George Washington's time as president, where did he live? Did he live? He didn't live in the White House. He lived someplace else. No. He lived in the grand houses in New York and Philly. Yeah, so interesting. The White House wasn't built yet. $2. Okay, this table. Boy, you guys got a lot of people at this table. Yeah, you're going to need it. Just talking about presidents, who was the youngest president for inauguration? Youngest president? Roosevelt. How old was he? Final answer? 42. $1 each. Got one right. Okay. We all know who the oldest president that was inaugurated, President Trump. But here's one. What president had the most children? Well, yeah, I don't think so. Okay, it was John Tyler. He had 15 children. Jefferson, I understand where you're going with that, but that's not quite. But that's $2. Oh, Jefferson. I don't know if everybody gets that or not. Okay. Who was the first president born after 1776? You're pretty close. Okay. 3 seconds. 2, 1. Polk. No, Martin Van Buren. He was the 8th president. He's the first president born after 1776. He was born December 5th, 1782. $2. Okay, you guys ready? Louis? Okay. Who was the only unmarried president? The only unmarried president. Not Grant. James Buchanan was the only unmarried president, 1857 to 61. Do we have people online?
We do.
We
Yep.
do? Okay, $2. Let's see. This is an easy one. James Madison. I just gave the answer. I'll give you another one. He was the shortest president, James Madison. Okay, I'll go with it. James Madison. He was the shortest president. How short was he? Any answers online there?
Mary Crandall says 5'2". Kate says 4'8". Anyone else?
5'1".
Someone else said 5'1".
5'4".
5'4".
$2.
You just offended some people in this room, Phil. Happy bucks?
Happy bucks. Okay, who's happy? Travis.
I got a happy buck. I'm very happy. I'm going to be a grandpa. So, yeah. My son, who's in the military, and daughter-in-law are going to have their baby in September.
Congratulations. Anybody else happy? Lou is happy.
I got a happy 10, but it's going in the boot.
Oh, right here.
Anybody else happy? Nope, Mr. Schaffner.
I have a happy 20 because I've missed a lot of meetings, but I'm happy to be here. It was my wife and I's 14th anniversary yesterday. And we just hired a great pharmacist who's covering a couple days a week for me. So very happy about that because they're really hard to find these days. So
yeah, congratulations. Thank you, sir. Becky.
I have to Venmo you. I'm happy that the volunteers at the food bank were awarded the Washington State Service Volunteer Award that will be coming out in a couple weeks for Skagit County. So that's exciting. And I have my anniversary on Saturday. So 5 years of blissful. Yeah, with Steve. We've made it 5 years.
He's a good man. Congratulations. Okay. Oh, one more. Carol.
Got a happy 5 here for Todd Wright. He's going to become a grandpa again here in August.
Great. Congratulations, Todd. Yeah, I don't know. President Ruth, I think that's it.
Well, it is my pleasure to have Carl come up here and he's going to do some introductions.
Thank you, President Ruth. All right, our speaker today is really a dynamic, what I call super Rotarian. Her name is Kathleen Turner. We've seen her before, maybe some of you. And she is the person that is helping us donate fire equipment, trucks and ambulances and so forth to pretty much all of Baja, California these days. And I'm just grateful to have her there. She does wear me out. She's a little bit a high energy Rotarian, so you have to eat your Wheaties when you're working with her. But please welcome Katherine. Or Kathleen. Is it Kathleen or Katherine? Sorry. Take over.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. My name is Katherine. I am the Rotarian to start with from Baja, Mexico, and I'm a national director of Baja Bridges. 4 years ago, some Rotarians, kind of like yourself, were sitting in a room and we thought we would take a fire truck to Mexico. We sold raffle tickets and bass fishing derbies. We bought an engine, and being smart Rotarians, because we were all professionals, we thought we'd do fine by just driving it to Baja. 3 days later, we got arrested. We spent some time in Tijuana jail, and we realized that sometimes Rotary projects don't really go as planned. So we learned a good lesson right then and there that we needed help, and we needed to figure out how, as Rotarians, we could safely travel to Mexico and to do projects. Thus, Baja Bridges was born. They took our car, they took the engine and all our supplies, and they said, you guys can stay in Baja for 7 days, have fun, take a trip. So 4 Rotarians drove through Baja, and we got a chance to see that a lot of communities had a lot of needs, but they weren't just fire. There was medical community needs, there was education, there was sometimes something simple as just moving resources from northern Baja to southern Baja. And we quickly realized that as Rotarians, we could put together an NGO in the United States because all the things that we were bringing, they had been donated. They'd come out of a fire department or a school or a medical, company, and they were throwing it away or pretty much putting it in a Connex. So Baja Bridges was designed, I'm just going to let these pictures roll through, so that Rotarians in the United States could go to Mexico. And I don't mean just come fishing and drink beer and eat tacos, but come to Mexico and do projects. Fast forward, we met Paul a couple of years ago. He used to travel to Cabo, and we sent him over to meet the fire chief in San Jose del Cabo, and they made friends. And that began going to Baja Sur and working with Skagit Rotary. 4 years later, we've done 7 vehicles out of your area. Baja Bridges has done 52 total fire trucks, ambulances over the past 4 years, and we average about $17 million a year in supplies. This year, we changed it up and we started working with other United States NGOs because we realized a lot of the donations that we were receiving could be used locally and within the United States. I am nervous as heck right now. I don't know why. Do I have to talk with this microphone? And I can't, can I move with it? Oh yeah, let's do that. All right. If you guys know me well, you know that standing still like that just is not working for me. So Baja Bridges really is just an opportunity for us to take things that otherwise would either go into the landfill, be left in a Connex, or underutilized. We, as you can see from that truckload, go to fire departments across the country and they give us their surplus, expired equipment, things that don't meet the rules for the United States, but still have good life on them. A lot of Rotary clubs work really hard to buy things like computers, your dictionaries that you're going to hand out next week. We want your old dictionary. If there's a kid that got that dictionary 3 years ago or 5 years ago, we'll take it to Mexico because we're going to teach English in schools. It's all about finding something that you have or that we have and then matching it up with the right group down south. So we cover all of Baja and probably 80% of mainland Mexico. Our NGOs are Cruz Rojas, which to United States is Red Cross, Shelter Box USA, Disaster Aid USA, obviously Rotary International. And then we've got Firefighters International, Firefighters Training International. And we realized that what Rotary brought to the table was getting them to work together. A lot of times you've got a great idea, you've got a great project, you've got a great gift, but you need the right person or the right combination of people to help you network. So we're kind of a networking group. As you can see from these photos, they represent teams all over the country that got together and sent a shipment down. Now these trips don't cost a lot of money other than the gas and warehousing. You can take in a truck like that, maybe $50,000, $60,000 worth of supplies for less than $500. We work with all the fire departments in Mexico. They help us with the orphanages. They help us with the schools. They do the community service part of it because it's a partnership. And if anyone's learned anything, or if I've learned anything with Rotary, it was sustainability and collaboration. My father was Rotarian, my grandfather was Rotarian, and he always said, start where you stand. Figure out what you can do with what you have, and then share it with somebody in another part of the world. Travel. I've been to Africa, all over Asia, but now Mexico. This is Melody Summy. She was a high school prom queen, and she saw that we were going down to the orphanages, and she says, can I collect shoes for you? So her group got together and got shoes. Next slide. This is Katherine Stradling, Hands to Hearts. Training was also really important. We realized that it wasn't just enough to bring someone equipment, you had to teach them how to use it. So Hands to Hearts is now our national EMT medical first response training. It's free to everybody. She goes to the rural villages. She's standing in what we call a Van Go. Van Go's a big 20-passenger van that a Rotary Club was done using. She turned it into a training facility. She takes medical teams around. She does the cervical cancer initiative. She's got diabetes, all sorts of different programs. And that all came from a Rotary Club that said, hey, we're not using it anymore. Next slide. You guys probably recognize the guy on the right. That's Paul and that's Keno, and that's your local firefighters. Skagit has become the largest international donation site in the United States. Thanks to the support that your Rotary Club gave us 3 years ago and what Paul's done, we now have a 40-foot Connex here at Station 6, and firefighters from all over the Northwest realize they can bring supplies, and your local fire department helps sort it, clean it, organize it, and then prepare it for shipment south. Next slide. In Sacramento, we have 4,000 square foot warehouse. One of the biggest problems about donations is having the right place to put them at the right time. So we quickly went to some Rotarians in Central California and said, if we had a warehouse, when someone called and said, I've got 10 pallets of something, we could say, okay, we'll take it. So, and that's us at a fire in Greenville. Having supplies ahead of time is just as important as having them today. So that's what we do. Are you okay? Yeah, go ahead. Next slide. We work with all the fire departments in Mexico to help with the transportation and shipping. We realized also that as us Rotarians, crossing the border and doing the importing was a bad idea. So no more. We now have all the fire departments along the borders maintain warehouses on both sides of the border, and it made it a lot more effective and efficient and safer for our guests, like when you guys come down. Next slide. The kids. I don't know about, I'm not a kid person, but I have become one. I've realized that the children are our future. They're the kids that do the projects. They're the education. They're the difference in the community. And when we started bringing fire trucks down, the mother of this little boy was crying. And I went up to her and I was like, well, why are you crying? We got a fire truck here and we got all these SCBAs and we're having a party. And she goes, no más muerta. If you speak Spanish, she said, no more death. She's crying. I said, well, I don't understand. I don't see how the correlation is between this fire truck. And she goes, you gave my son the bottle so he can breathe in the fire. She goes, 6 weeks ago, my other boy could not breathe in the fire. He died. Her son tried to save somebody, and he died because he didn't have an SCBA. Next slide. That's something that your department throws away. When you're done using them in 10 years, if I can take that breathing apparatus, service it, take it over the border and give it to a firefighter, and he or she has a chance to save somebody's life, it's worth it. And so that's what we get to do. No más muerta. This little boy is 5 years older now. He's a junior firefighter, and he works a little bomber truck. His dad built him a small little piece of apparatus. It looks like what Carl's got out in the back of his truck there. It's just a little truck with a 200-gallon water peeler and a pump. But he's learning that he can help his neighbors and he can take care of somebody. And I think that's what Rotary's about, is teaching us and giving us opportunities to take care of somebody, to just have a chance to try to be the person that you want to be. Next slide. San Felipe Rotary is one of our biggest Rotary clubs in Mexico. In the last 5 years, we've expanded their fire departments. We've added a full cancer clinic. We've developed a training site for the Mexican Olympic team, and they've added Casa de Abuelas, which is an elder care facility. And they're now getting ready to be a national training site for firefighters and people in the police force in the northern Baja region. Next slide. Okay, another picture of them. Go ahead. Tools are everything. This is San Ignacio. When we were driving down the first time, we stopped at a gas station at a Pemex, and a gentleman came running up to me, and he's like, "Bombero?" I didn't speak any Spanish. I'm like, "No, Katherine, bombero." I'm like, okay, I think he's talking about something that has to do with the fire truck. And he's like, "I'm a firefighter. Soy un bombero." Ah, and of course, me being me, I'm like, "So you have a truck?" "No." "Buckets." He had buckets. His whole fire department was buckets and shovels and some really simple supplies. Fast forward, San Ignacio has 2 fire departments now. They have an ambulance that came from your community. They have a fire truck, and they have training. They know how to fight fires, and they know how to save lives. They've added an orphanage through their community service program. I didn't really say it, but one of the requirements of being a Baja Bridges town is that you do community service. We modeled ourselves after Rotary. Start where you stand. They've got a community service project that allows kids to come into town on Mondays and stay at the firehouse until Friday so they can stay in school. If you got to travel 30 or 40 miles, you don't go to school. So they solved that problem. They said, let's let them bunk here in our bunks. Next slide. Boots. San Ignacio is a town of about maybe 1,800, but it's spread out. It's where the whales come, if anyone's familiar with coming to see the ballenas. San Ignacio is a really sensitive environmental region, but it's also probably, for wildfires, one of the toughest parts of Baja because it has palm trees. Well, with buckets, they could never put the fire out, so the fire would go across the palms and burn the homes. Now that they got fire trucks, they can attack the fire from above, put out the fire, and save the community. Boot drive. You think a pair of boots means a lot to you? Imagine being a firefighter and you've never even had a pair. This was his first pair of boots. This young man's Juan. He's in a town called La Misión. La Misión now has a Rotary Club. Juan's a member. He's a Rotarian, he's a firefighter, and he's one happy Pachero. Next. Let's see. This is San Luis, Colorado. San Luis has a Rotary Club now. Baja Bridges and Rotary has given us a chance to add Rotary clubs into our communities. It's given us a chance to work together. This department probably services about 40 departments within the country. As we develop and we grow, teams, once they're fully outfitted and they've developed their departments, they're responsible for passing it forward. So this is them getting ready to go to another department. Next. Warehousing. This is from one slide back. Okay, this is Whatcom. A couple years ago, Firefighters International called us and said, "You guys are doing a pretty good job. Can we partner with you?" Now we take care of all of Firefighter International's donations into Mexico, only because we have your warehousing and Paul, and we have the organization with Rotary. We were able to manpower. This is what a shipment looks like after it comes off an engine. We get the engines to the border, we have to strip them. Engine goes through customs, all the supplies go to another track. Then when they get back to the other side, they get put back together. Next slide. Any more? Okay. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to your club. I don't think you know the impact. I used to think that sometimes it was just getting a fire engine or getting an ambulance, but your ambulance came down to San Jose del Cabo 4 years ago. The ambulance had school books in it. It had medical supplies. We were just going into COVID, so we had diabetes supplies. We had morphine, and we had insulin. That might not seem like a lot to you, but when the border closed, the only people that could get across were firefighters. We were the only ones that could get through customs and not have a 14-day quarantine. So your Rotary projects were the lifelines to Mexico. You've sent fire trucks. You're in Santa Rosalia. Your ambulance is on the way down right now, and thanks to the support of your club and Carl and your international team, we partnered with 4 of the Rotary clubs, and they'll now have the largest rescue ambulance in all of Baja. A rescue ambulance is different because it's not just coming to the house and picking somebody up. It's resulting to an accident. It's having extrication equipment. It's having the training. So Santa Rosalia, where one of your fire trucks is, Paul, if I'm correct, is now also the regional training facility. I don't think I could stand up here and say enough to thank you, but thank you. Everything you do as Rotarians, every time you call and say, I've got some books, or I've got some school supplies, or I've got some leftover fire equipment, it changes somebody's life in Mexico. And I have to say, I'm pretty grateful to be a part of that team. And I want to thank Paul. He works tirelessly. He's one of our national directors. I'm going to sucker his brother into it next. He doesn't know it yet. But please continue to do the work you do for us because we appreciate it in ways you can't imagine. I've asked your president today to carry a boot. When we first got to Mexico, firefighters carried a boot. You kind of joke about seeing them on the street corners when you're on vacation. Well, they weren't carrying the boot because they wanted to. They carried a boot because they needed to carry a boot to get up here. And I believe that no firefighter should ever have to carry a pair of boots to get up here. So if you'll donate today, I would appreciate it. It would help us. My club is doing the fire truck that's on there, on your tables, and all your money will help bring us our first ladder truck that's going to come into Ensenada. And Carl, I just want to say it's humbling to be with your club. You guys have a great fundraiser. I love going to it 2 years ago. I love visiting your town. And I promise that we will make sure that Len gets through pets this weekend, goes to all his courses like a good boy, doesn't skip out and hit the casinos or anything, or go out with his police friends, because apparently you're a policeman. I won't hold that against you either. But I want to thank you all very much for having me and for everything you've done for us. Would anyone like to ask questions about what it's like in Mexico as a Rotarian, or even with all the trade things that are going on? Anybody? No? Okay, Carl, go ahead. Me? So at Pets, we're going to present a couple collaborations. One of them is the Disaster Aid USA initiative. Recently, we took a lot of our firefighters and we came to LA, 75 firefighters from Mexico, and we worked the Pasadena-Altadena fire. When we were there, we realized that it's not just coming to the incident, it's taking care of people afterwards. It's getting them back into their houses. It's cleaning up after the hurricanes and things like that. So we collaborated with Disaster Aid USA, and it will be a hands-on project that allow Rotarians to go to incidents after the occurrence and work with the local communities to do stuff. I'm also going to go drink some beer at night and socialize. And what else are we doing? We're going to share Unite for Light, which is a literacy project. I don't know, Carl, what else am I doing? Because I know you're thinking of something and I'm not catching it.
I have another question. We donate a lot of money to Disaster Aid USA. Can you tell us about your experience with them? Are they a good place to spend our money?
I think of Disaster Aid as two answers to that question. Disaster Aid USA was designed so Rotarians could work after events. They buy trailers, they outfit them with equipment, and after disaster, in my case, I've only been with them to Florida recently, and then in Los Angeles area. I wasn't physically there, but they get together and they bring their supplies down and they help out. When I visited your community this last 2 days, I realized you have some of the best community emergency response teams in the country. You're actually prepared for disasters. So I'm not sure that their model in your region is necessary because you have already at your disposal. Oh, yes, I think it very much is being spent wisely. They spend their money only on equipment. They don't have big overhead with employees. They don't have payroll or salary. They're one of those NGOs that literally dollar for dollar, it goes back into supplies. But for our collaboration, I know it's going to be spent wisely because we're bringing disaster aid to Baja. We don't have community emergency response teams. Santa Rosalia, where Carl helped us look at rebuilding the water facilities last year, disaster aid would come in afterwards and help us do the repairs with a hands-on. So I don't know how to answer that question fairly because there's so many things that disaster aid does, but I do like the program and I know I'm going to like it as our collaboration. Anybody travel to Mexico? I spoke to the gentleman back here. I would suggest if you're coming to Mexico, find out about Rotary. Call us and join a club. Visit. Let them take you out to dinner, show you around the communities, show you the projects that have been done. Most of our projects are not international projects. We do more hands-on. You come down for a week and you do something. The international projects are difficult in Mexico for a lot of reasons, and I don't think it's just Mexico. I think they're just difficult. But I did leave a project on the table. Baja Mar's going to do redoing a sports facility, but they're going to change it into a community center, add bathrooms, add lighting, do things so that a larger percentage of the community could use a facility like this. So that's our international project. Any other questions? You guys are the quietest group in the world and you don't laugh. I don't know what to do with that. Yes, sir.
Just a question for some of the departments that we send stuff down to. How are those firefighters dispatched?
Okay, so before a department is given the opportunity to receive, we do a community assessment. We did model after Rotary International. We come in, we visit for 3 or 4 days, and we look at the community as a whole. What do they have for fire? What do they have for medical? What do they have for schools? And a community report is generated that'll say, okay, this is La Misión. Here's the pros and cons. Then a team of firefighters or medical, depending upon which area is chosen, they then develop what they consider an action plan. It's a 2-year program to actually be a community. First step is PPE, personal protective equipment, identifying who wants to be a firefighter and getting them personal gear. Then they have to go to training. Once they've achieved a level of competency of training that will show that they can safely use the donations, then they get on the track for an engine or an ambulance and bigger apparatus. Once they've gone through the 2-year window, then the payback becomes they have to pass it forward to another community. They then do the community assessment in the outlying area, maybe 50, 60, 70 miles. Their responsibility is to build another department. So that's the process.
But how about for actual emergencies then? Is that already established as far as?
So a lot of small rural towns don't have emergency systems like the 911, I think is what you're thinking of. So generally speaking, it might be someone sees smoke, people jump in their cars, vehicles and run. We still don't have great emergency response in a lot of small rural areas because we don't have the communication systems. But we take the Motorola's and the Kenwoods and we're taking old repeater towers, which sounds really stupid, but we've created response systems like that. In the bigger cities, Tijuana, Ensenada, San Jose del Cabo, they have a 311, 611 system that's very similar to the 911 in the US that they use.
Thank you.
Good question. I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much. And please keep enjoying Rotary and enjoying what you're doing. Come see us in Mexico.
Here's your boot. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine, and have a blast at Pels. It's Pels, not pets anymore. So we are trying to learn that and remember it. They make all these changes and it's just silly. All right. I don't think we have any other announcements for the day. So please help clean up and put away the tables and chairs.